troops killed 2 Palestinians in a raid at refugee camp. India wrap up first day of voting in general election. Good afternoon, I'm Jessica Lee and this is World Today. We begin with the news of the passing of former Inspector General of Police Tun Muhammad Hanif Omar at 2:15 a.m. today. Tun Muhammad Hanif, who was 85, passed away at his residence in Shah Alam, Selangor. He was the country's longest-serving IGP, holding the position from 1974 to 1994. His remains will be laid to rest at Makam Pahlawan Masjid Negara. On behalf of the English News team, we would like to convey our sincerest condolences to his family. Israeli troops killed a teenager and an adult during a raid of a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank on Friday. The Palestinian Red Crescent confirmed the death of one, but did not identify who it was, adding that 2 others were also wounded by gunshots. Israeli forces were still present in Nur Sham's camp, with witnesses said they saw armored vehicles driving through the streets.
نزلونا وفتشوا مركبة الإسعاف ورجعونا منعونا ندخل مع إنه المصاب مسعف زميلنا يعني منعونا ندخل والله.
The Israeli army issued a statement late on Friday saying they have eliminated a number of terrorists from Nur al-Sham's refugee camp and arrested a number of wanted persons. Violence in the West Bank was already on the rise before Israel's assault on Gaza. It has escalated since, with stepped-up Israeli military raids, settler violence and Palestinian street attacks. In addition to more than 33,000 Palestinians killed by Israel in Gaza, the Palestinian Health Ministry says at least 466 people in the West Bank have been killed by Israeli forces or settlers, among them armed fighters. Now, on another matter, the United Arab Emirates had launched a major relief operation in the Gaza Strip's bombed-out second city of Khan Yunis, where it plans to rehabilitate a key hospital. In a statement carried by the official WAM news agency, the UAE said it was the first foreign government to deliver aid to the city, whose residents have begun to return after Israeli troops pulled back in early April, ending months of heavy fighting. Thousands of displaced residents have been trudging home through the apocalyptic landscape of the devastated city since the Israeli army pulled back. WAM reported that the UAE is seeking to rehabilitate the Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis city in the coming period so that it can return to work. Meanwhile, a flotilla of 3 ships that will carry aid to Gaza will depart very soon, as the organizers called on world governments to pressure Israel to allow the ships safe passage. The plan to send 8 ships directly to Gaza has stirred memories of an attempt to breach a Gaza blockade in 2010, when 10 activists were killed by Israeli commandos in a raid on the Turkish Mavi Marmara ship. Now, some of those on the fleet in 2010 will again set sail with the flotilla in coming weeks, including Palestinian-American human rights lawyer Huwaida Araf and retired U.S. Colonel and diplomat Anne Wright. During a press conference aboard A.K. Dennis, the ship that will carry passengers, Araf said it would be unlawful for Israel to intercept or stop the ships like in 2010, an incident which led to the collapse of relations between Israel and Turkey. The French police arrested a man who had threatened to blow himself up at Iran's consulate in Paris. A police source had told Reuters the man was seen at about 11 a.m. entering the consulate, carrying what appeared to be a grenade and explosive vest. Police had cordoned off the area. The man later left the consulate and, on being searched, was found not to be carrying any explosives. Le Parisien newspaper said on its website that, according to several witnesses, the man had dragged flags on the floor of the consulate and said he wanted to avenge the death of his brother. It was unclear whether the incident had any link to current tensions between Iran and Israel. Early on Friday, explosions echoed over the Iranian city of Isfahan in what sources described as an Israeli attack. But Tehran played down the incident and indicated it had no plans for retaliation, a response that appeared gauged towards averting region-wide war. North Korea conducted a cruise missile warhead test in the West Sea of Korea on Friday. It also carried out a test launch earlier in the day of a Pyeongji-12, new type of anti-aircraft missile. State media KCNA News Agency said a certain goal was attained through the test without providing further details. Both tests were part of the regular activities of the administration and its affiliated defense science institutes. Pyongyang has been under a raft of international sanctions since its second nuclear test in 2009, but the development of its nuclear and weapons programs has continued unabated. So far this year, the nuclear-armed North has declared South Korea its principal enemy, jettisoned agencies dedicated to reunification and outreach, and threatened war over even 0.01 millimeters of territorial infringement. Now, polls in India closed on Friday in the first phase of the world's largest election. The vote pits current Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, against an alliance of 24 opposition parties that promise greater affirmative action and more handouts, while stressing what they call the need to save democratic institutions. 3 hours before polls closed, figures from the Election Commission showed voter turnout ranged between 40% in the sprawling northern state of Bihar and 68% in the small northeastern state of Tripura. The first of 7 phases, Friday's vote covered 166 million voters in 102 constituencies across 21 states and territories, from Tamil Nadu in the south of Arunachal Pradesh in the Himalayan frontier with China. Almost 1 billion people in the world's most populous nation are eligible to vote in the entire exercise, running through the peak of summer until the 1st of June, with results set for 4th of June. Modi, 73, remains resoundingly popular after a decade in office and has already led the ruling BJP through 2 landslide victories in 2014 and 2019. Coming up, 5 students wounded in school shooting. Stay with us. A gunfire broke out at a park in Greenbelt, Maryland, where hundreds of high school students had gathered while skipping school, wounding 5 males aged 16 to 18. One victim is in critical condition.
High school students in the park.
Greenbelt Police Chief said they were searching for one suspect, but there may be others, adding no motive had been established. About 500 to 600 students from at least 2 high schools converged on the park in what is known as Senior Skip Day, when students in their final year of high school ditch their classes.
And while those officers were walking into the park, they heard the sound of gunshots. They believed at that time to be a number of shots, not verified, but 8 to 10 gunshots. Officers then immediately responded to where those shots came from in an active shooter response. Not only members of the Greenbelt Police Department, again, Prince George's County Police Department and the Maryland State Police. Officers responded. They located 5 wounded individuals. They immediately began providing medical care to those individuals while they secured the area and searched for a suspect.
Greenbelt is a city of about 24,000 people, some 21 kilometers northeast of Washington. Max Azzarello of St. Augustine, Florida, was identified by police as the man who set himself on fire outside the New York courthouse where Donald Trump's historic hush money trial was taking place. A Reuters photograph shows Azzarello one day prior holding a sign while protesting outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse in New York City. The New York Police Department said the man did not appear to be targeting Trump or others involved in the trial.
The pamphlet seemed to be propaganda-based, almost like a conspiracy theory type of pamphlet. Some information in regards to Ponzi schemes and the fact that some of our local educational institutes are front for the mob. So a little bit of a conspiracy theory going on here.
In an online manifesto, a man using that name said he set himself on fire and apologized to friends, witnesses, and first responders. The post warns of an apocalyptic fascist coup and criticizes cryptocurrency and U.S. politicians, but does not single out Trump in particular. An area of historic woodland in Britain was closed to the public earlier this year after years of illegal waste dumping. Drone video from Friday showed a large pile of commercial waste in Hoads Wood, a 199-acre site of protected ancient woodland that has seen industrial-scale illegal dumping since 2020. In January, the Environment Agency, or the EA, issued a court order that prohibited members of the public from entering or depositing waste at the site. Local media reported that the waste had reached a height of 12 feet. Hoads Wood is considered as a site of special scientific interest, giving it protected status. A few days post-record rainfall, some major Dubai highways are still flooded, with cars submerged and pedestrians navigating their way through waist-deep water. Sewage drainage trucks were scattered across Dubai to pump out flood water off impacted areas. The storm pounded the UAE on Tuesday, flooding roads and causing gridlock that lasted for hours as rainwater inundated homes and businesses. The UAE state news agency late on Wednesday put out a statement from President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan saying he had ordered authorities to assess the damage and provide support to families impacted by the storm. Inhabitants of Gatumba, on the outskirts of Burundi's economic capital, Bujumbura, flee the rising water levels as heavy rainfall continues to sweep the country. Burundi, which the UN says is one of the 20 countries most vulnerable to climate change, has been pelted by almost non-stop rain since September. In the economic capital, Bujumbura, which lies on the northeastern shore of Lake Tanganyika, several neighborhoods have been flooded, roads and bridges destroyed, and some hotels and hospitals abandoned because of rising water levels. In sport, Gulf and Sabalenka suffered shocking defeat in Barca Open. Stay tuned. First up is football. Cristiano Ronaldo-less Al Nassr came from a goal down to beat Al Fayha 3-1 in their Saudi Pro League encounter on Friday. Al Nassr without Ronaldo, who was suspended following a red card during their Super Cup semi-final against Al Hilal, trailed at the break after Zambian fashion Sakala put the visitors 1-0 up. Abdelayla Al-Amri's header from a corner drew the scores level before a brace from Sadio Mane, who missed a first-half penalty, saw the hosts run out comfortable winners, while Al Fayha had Sakala sent off late on. The win sees second place Al Nassr climb to 68 points after 28 games, 9 behind leaders Al Hilal, who have a match in hand. Al Nassr are trailing Al Hilal by 12 points in standings, and they have to secure wins in all of the remaining fixtures in racing for the league title. However, the club still has the King's Cup within their grasp, giving them a chance to salvage at least one title this season. And on to tennis, world number 7, Stefanos Tsitsipas saved 2 match points to defeat Facundo Diaz Acosta and reach the semi-finals of the Barcelona clay court tournament. Now, the Greek came through 4-6, 6-3, 7-6 after his 53rd ranked Argentine opponent missed a match point in the 12th game of the deciding set. In a thrilling 2-hour 31-minute clash, Tsitsipas had the chance to serve out the match at 5-4 in the third set. However, he hit 2 double faults in the game as Diaz Acosta broke back. The Argentine Diaz Acosta then failed to convert a match point on the Greek's serve at 5-6 before both players saved match points in the third set tiebreak. With little to separate them, it was Tsitsipas who stood tall on Pista Rafa Nadal, saving another match point at 6-7 in the tiebreak before he converted on his third opportunity to triumph. The 25-year-old Tsitsipas will face Dusan Lajovic, the world number 59 from Serbia, in the semi-finals on Saturday. Lajovic knocked out 36th-ranked Arthur Fils of France 6-4, 3-6, 6-2 in his quarter-final. Earlier, Norwegian Casper Ruud cruised past 23-year-old Italian Matteo Arnaldi 6-4, 6-3 to reach the semi-finals. Ruud arrived in Barcelona off the back of a run to the final at the Rolex Monte Carlo Masters and has looked impressive again this week in Spain. The third seed hit with clean timing of both wings against Arnaldi and dug deep when serving for the match at 5-3, saving 4 break points to eventually advance after 1 hour and 34 minutes. Ruud has earned a tour-leading 27 wins this season, but is still seeking his first tour-level crown since last April when he lifted the trophy in Estoril. Elsewhere, world number 1 and defending champion Iga Świątek took her Stuttgart winning streak to 10 matches on Friday with a straight sets quarterfinal victory against Emma Raducanu. Now, top seed Świątek, the 2022 and 2023 champion at the German clay court tournament, saw off former US Open champion Raducanu 7-6, 6-3. The 22-year-old Świątek needed just over 2 hours to defeat Raducanu, who was playing in her first quarterfinal since 2022. Despite her loss, there were encouraging signs of a return to form for Raducanu. Her 2 wins for Britain in the Billie Jean King Cup win against France last weekend, followed by 2 victories in Stuttgart, mark the first time she has won 4 matches in a row since her 2021 US Open title triumph. And the former world number 10 came to Stuttgart ranked at 303. 12 months ago, Stuttgart proved to be her final event of 2023 before undergoing surgery on both wrists and her ankle. Świątek will face 4th-seeded Elena Rybakina, who defeated Jasmine Paolini 6-3, 5-7, 6-3 for a place in the final. Meanwhile, world number 3 Coco Gauff saved 7 match points hung on to his lead in the Rally of Croatia despite a puncture, as Toyota's Elfyn Evans won 2 late specials to draw level on time with the Belgian on Friday. World Championship leader Neuville won 4 of the day's 8 stages and was 8.6 seconds ahead of Evans and more than 21 seconds ahead of Sébastien Ogier after the first 4 stages. However, he lost time after a puncture in the 6th stage on muddy, hilly terrain outside Zagreb. Evans moved 1.6 seconds in front at one stage before Neuville fought back on the day's final stage to claim a dramatic share of the lead. Double world champion Kalle Rovanperä of Toyota was sitting out his 4th date on the World Championship circuit. Neuville is aiming for a second victory this season after Monte Carlo and is 6 points ahead of Evans in the World Championship. The Olympic flame arrived at Greece's most famous landmark, the Acropolis, on Friday as part of the 11-day relay across Greece ahead of the Paris 2024 Games. Former European 400 meters hurdles champion Perikles Kovakis lit a cauldron in front of the 5th century BC Parthenon temple from his torch, despite a heavy drizzle of rain. The torch for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games was lit in ancient Olympia, birthplace of the Games, in 776 BC in a traditional ceremony on the 16th of April. It will be officially handed over to Paris Games organizers in Athens' Panathenaic Stadium, site of the first modern Games in 1896, on the 26th of April. It will then depart the next day for France on board a 3-masted ship, the Belém, where it is expected to arrive in Marseille on the 8th of May, with up to 150,000 people expected to attend the ceremony in the southern city's Old Port. The French torch relay will last 68 days and will end in Paris with the lighting of the Olympic flame on the 26th of July. From baby white rhino born bounces in UK zoo to vintage cars go on sale, next in a weekly roundup of offbeat stories from around the world. 6 weeks after being born on the 7th of March, a baby southern white rhino named Benja frolics around its 21-acre paddock in the spring sunshine, as seen in footage shared by Whipsnade Zoo north of the British capital, London. The name Benja was chosen in honor of the dominant black rhino bull who lives in the Tsavo Conservation Area in Kenya. Now, white rhinos, like Benja, are facing threats of poaching and habitat loss in South Africa, with 500 killed last year for their horns. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, estimates that about 16,903 white rhinos left in the wild, with their numbers having been decimated by poaching. Whipsnade Zoo is part of the global conservation charity, the Zoological Society of London, which, according to its website, works to restore wildlife in the UK and around the world by protecting critical species, restoring ecosystem, helping people and wildlife live together, and inspiring support for nature. Under mulberry trees at a bee farm in Taipei suburbs, students watched intently as instructor Chai Ming-Xian wafted smoke over a hive box, explaining to aspiring apiarists how to keep the insects happy in an urban setting. Now, his audience included entrepreneurs, retirees, and even a 6-year-old who reached eagerly for a frame pulled from the box, as Chai demonstrated how bees can be kept calm with a smoker.
大部分的人都是基于好奇嘛，然后有些是想学。那有一些人就是休闲养蜂了，他就是在自己的有限的空间里面养个大概10来箱。那他如果退休了，或者是他是时间比较充裕的，又有地，他可能养个几十箱、50-60箱都有。对，那这样的学生是有的。有些人是想要成为职业蜂农，然后来这边学的。对，那大部分是以休闲为主。
In Taiwan, recreational beekeeping has grown steadily in popularity over the past decade, with people tending hive boxes in their yards or rooftop gardens.
"其实也不是说为了赚钱了，其实话说回来了，我觉得，养它其实也还不错，可是呢，要去照顾它，还蛮麻烦的，所以其实你还是要有这个爱心。"
Bee populations around the world are facing disaster from overuse of pesticides, mites, and extreme temperatures due to climate change. Now, that also spells catastrophe for humans, as 3/4 of the world's main crops depend on bees to act as the key pollinators. 8 vintage Alfa Romeo cars will go on sale at an auction near Paris on Sunday. The collection, owned by a Franco-Swiss family, includes a 1969 Tipo 332 racing model estimated to sell at up to 2.5 million euros.
Je vous présente la star de la collection, une Alfa Romeo 33.2. 33.2, son petit surnom, c'est Daytona. Alors, l'histoire de la 33.2, c'est l'histoire de la 33. La 33, ça marque le grand retour d'Alfa Romeo au plus haut de la compétition automobile, plus haut niveau de la compétition automobile. Alfa Romeo, qui avait abandonné complètement la compétition automobile à la fin des années 50, revient en beauté avec un produit exceptionnel, la 33. La 33 est également la première Alfa Romeo de l'après-guerre équipée d'un V8.
Other models include a 1954 Giulietta Spider prototype, estimated to reach 450,000 euros. Also on auction, in addition to the 8 cars, is a one-person racing boat with an Alfa Romeo engine. Stellantis' own Alfa Romeo, a brand steeped in Italian automotive history, unveiled on Wednesday its new Milano small SUV, named after the northern Italian city of Milan, where Alfa Romeo was founded in 1910. The Ausonet sale takes place in Fontainebleau, south of Paris, and online. And with that, we reach the end of this afternoon's bulletin. A recap of our top story today. Israeli troops killed 2 Palestinians during a raid at Palestinian refugee camp in West Bank. Do join us tonight at TV1 or on TV1 and on Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. for more news. Or you can join us online through RTM's Click website and mobile app. I'm Jessica Lee. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Bye for now.